Who said kittens and Kerbals couldn't coexist? Hello everybody and welcome! Last week the developers over at Studio Rocketworks have released the first public pre-alpha build for Kitten Space Agency for free with the option to pay if people want to. To call that release highly anticipated within the small but vocal space simulation game community would be an understatement. But did the hype translate into real adoption? Are people accepting the new contribution model? And what are some of the common issues people are having right now? Oh yeah, and modders have already put Kerbals and the planets from Kerbal Space Program into KSA. We're going to address all of this in today's video while doing a little flying in KSA on the side. And if you are interested in how the development of this game progresses, make sure you are subscribed to this channel so you won't miss an update. Alright, so let's talk about the adoption rate. I don't have a complete dataset, but I have a couple of numbers that I managed to inquire from the developers. The game was released on Friday, November 14th over at ksa.awu.com. Link is in the description if you aren't aware of how to get it yet. Within the first 24 hours, there were roughly 29,000 downloads of the KSA pre-alpha build. My next data point is from November 17th, 43,000 downloads. And on November 19th, the 50,000 downloads milestone was reached as reported by the AWU team over on the KSA Discord server. AWU is kind of an offshoot of Rocketworks. They are responsible for running the website, forums and contribution platform for Kitten Space Agency and in the future potentially also other games. If we put the numbers on a graph, we can see an initial spike on release and the curve flattening out over the course of the following days. This kind of shape is to be expected since the most excited fans would be the ones grabbing the game on day one. Let's talk about something else expressed by numbers. Money. Capitalism. As mentioned, KSA is offered for free with the option to give a financial contribution every time you click on the download button. With 50,000 downloads on the record from Friday to Wednesday, there were roughly 2,500 people who were willing to part with their money in that time span, with a total amount of about $70,000 in contributions. So we get about 5% of people willing to pay, if we assume that behind every download is an actual person, but that assumption is flawed since the 50,000 number is downloads and not actual people. I asked the team and they told me that the current number of users registered on awu.com is a little over 36,300. If we use that as our baseline to compare against contributors, the ratio of people willing to contribute increases from 5 to 7%. And we get roughly $28 as the average amount people are willing to part with. There are of course some fat cats who gave hundreds or even north of $1,000, but from watching the contributions ticker on the KSA page or the corresponding channel on the Discord server, most people settle around the $20 mark. So those are the figures after little more than 5 days since the initial release, and at first glance it looks like KSA has been well adopted. But can we consider all of this a success already? Well, since Kitten Space Agency has positioned itself as a spiritual successor to Kerbal Space Program, let's look at how its ill-fated sequel KSP2 did when it went into early access on Steam back in February 2023. Unfortunately, we don't have exact numbers, but from my conversations with people who have knowledge of the matter when doing my KSP2 development history video, the game managed to reach more than 50,000 but less than 100,000 sales on day one. Keep in mind, not for free, but for the full $50 price that the publisher had set for it, and was widely criticized for. So in one day, KSP2 had more downloads and more revenue than KSA in a week. But that comparison is lacking for multiple reasons. Before it came out, KSP2 was subject to a lot of hype since people had waited many years for its release. KSA was announced a little more than a year before the first public build was available. Part of the hype was an intensive marketing campaign orchestrated by publisher Take-Two Interactive, who later unceremoniously shut down development of KSP2 and fired everyone on the team. KSA is a true indie game by a small studio from New Zealand with minimal marketing behind it so far. You don't see a multi-page feature article about it in PC Gamer or documentary-style videos for it. Despite all its flaws, KSP2 was a much more fleshed out game on release than KSA is now. Basically, you had the sandbox experience from Kerbal Space Program with updated graphics, new parts, and some quality of life improvements. At the cost of performance and stability, both of which were not great on launch. And one final important distinction, KSP2 was launched on Steam, whereas KSA deliberately avoids any of the established PC gaming storefronts. If you want to know why, I have talked to Rocketworks CEO Dean Hall about this exact thing. You can watch him explain his reasoning in our interview by following the link in the description or on the gizmo on the top right of your screen. While $70,000 in contributions is a great start, that amount of money covers less than what a senior developer would cost a software company for half a year. But KSA is not the full game yet, and it is still early days. Given all of this information, I put a question to all of you. Do you consider the downloads and contributions KSA has received so far as a success? Have you yourself already downloaded the game and played around with it? Did you give money to support the development of KSA? As always, let me know in the comments under this video. Alright, since you have seen it in the thumbnail or title, we can already see the Kerbalization of Kitten Space Agency. Modders have attacked the new game in force, and not only are there at least 2 people working on a Kerbal character to put into the game, modder Plasma Bolts basically recreated the entire KSP solar system within KSA. Look, that's not Earth, that's Kerbin down there. And we also have all the other planets, Eve, Duna, Jewel, and also its moons like Lathe over here. And we have clouds as well. Sure, it's not as polished as the volumetric clouds mod for KSP or the stock KSA implementations, but we're not even a week into the public pre-alpha phase and there's already a vibrant modding scene blossoming here. There's a very active modding channel on the KSA Discord, there are mod sections on the KSA forums, and there's already a relevant section over at spacedoc.info as you can see here. While the KSP Redux Planet Pack is already pretty far along, given that it was released less than a week after the public KSA build, the Kerbal character models I mentioned are still being worked on. Modder Average KSP is working on a Kerbal model and was kind enough to let me try his mod out, even though it is not finished yet. It currently does not have any animations and the RCS controls need some work, but it's fun to have Jab hang out with Hunter while zipping around the Earth. Honestly, seeing Kerbin and the KSP planets within KSA, hearing the music and watching a Kerbal in Kerbin orbit hit me right in the feels. Let's talk about the issues this game has. It is still a pre-alpha and there are a couple of things the developers have deliberately not included or changed yet because of the early stages KSA is in. One of these is the user interface. Players can move all the elements they see around on their screen, but once you exit the game and fire it up again, all the panels are back in their default position. There was a good reason for this. The team had waited for a new version of Dear ImGUI to come out which fixed a couple of issues they had. Since that is now available, they will work on the UI in the not too distant future. Having the UI persist is also something the developers themselves want to have internally, so expect to see this to change. Of course, there are a couple of crashes and performance issues people encounter. Many of the latter are due to low VRAM on their graphics cards, since KSA in its current form heavily utilizes this resource. Then there are little bugs like when you enter map view after firing up the game for the first time and it will show you the vessel named Rocket even though you have switched to another one, like for instance Gemini 7. This can be worked around easily by pressing the C key when in map view and the camera will focus on your active vessel, but still something the team should fix. What's funny about this one, even Scott Manley ran into this issue and looked at the wrong vessel because of this during the KSA stream he did a couple of days ago. What was even funnier, viewers asking him if he had now become a game streamer when in fact, that's how his channel started out years ago. Speaking of start, personally I think the first public build for KSA is off to a great start. And given the mods that are already available less than a week into the first public run, I'm hopeful for what's yet to come. I'm also hopeful some of you appreciate what I try to do with this channel and consider supporting me over on Patreon. Depending on the tier, you can watch all my videos without the pesky YouTube ads, you can get early access to videos and/or your name will show up here, together with all of these wonderful people. As always, a heartfelt thank you to all of you for your support. And if a monthly contribution is not in your budget, you can help out by way of super thanks here on YouTube or by purchasing single videos on Patreon. But I also appreciate everyone who watches until the end or leaves a comment or a like. Mainly right now, I'm just glad we're getting closer to a new space sim game with cute critters that has physics that actually work and don't break the game constantly. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel for more and follow me on my social thingies. The links are in the description. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.